This video is my honest, controversial take on the Yasukuni Shrine in Japan. The Yasukuni Shrine was founded in 1869, and this shrine is controversial across the globe. This shrine commemorates over 2 million people that have fought and passed away for the Japanese government. This includes Japanese and non-Japanese people. The Imperial Japanese would create a state version of Shinto, and they would incorporate this shrine into their version of Shinto. The Imperial Japanese did a lot of bad things during World War II and angered most of Asia. It also angered Americans. Japan produced a lot of war criminals during World War II, and over 1,000 of them got commemorated at this shrine after the war ended. This is why the Yasukuni Shrine is controversial in the first place. If they had not commemorated the war criminals there, then nobody outside of Japan would care about this shrine. But this was tradition for the Japanese people for almost a century. So it was obvious that they were going to commemorate the war criminals there. I personally have no issue with the Yasukuni Shrine. I stated in a previous video that the Japanese government almost deleted my grandfather at Pearl Harbor. So I should be angry at the Japanese, but I'm not, because I still view the US Democratic Party as being responsible for Pearl Harbor. I do not blame Japan for it, because our national interests were clashing at the time. It was only a matter of time before the Imperial Japanese would be forced to take some kind of action. The US Democratic Party likely could have prevented the attack, but let it happen to justify America legally entering the war. If you are angry at this shrine, then I completely understand. There are millions of people that are justified in their anger. Imperial Japan did try to take over most of Asia and did a lot of bad things in the process. The Japanese government did apologize to the states most impacted by the events of World War II. Japanese leaders apologized to China over 50 times for their actions during World War II. They apologized to Korea dozens of times. The same could be said for the Philippines and the US. They paid almost $1 trillion to South Korea and the Philippines in reparation money. Mainland China and the Republic of China decided to waive their rights to reparations. But Japan would still end up giving some money to former Taiwanese soldiers and their families despite this waiver. Even Singapore got some reparation money. In the case of South Korea, that reparation money went into building the country into an economic superpower. I don't think this gets talked about enough, but I still hear Koreans complain about the Japanese. Meanwhile, it is the year 2026. The South Korean government still hasn't given a formal apology to the Vietnamese for their actions during the Vietnam War, or given reparation money to the Vietnamese comfort women. Don't even get me started with the Copino situation in the Philippines. South Korea should probably give some reparation money for that situation, because that's a mess. That's a really, really big mess. In my view, every country has its problems. Most countries have their own war criminals that get commemorated by the people. This is the case with mainland China. Chinese history has a lot of war criminals that have been commemorated over the centuries. Mao basically got turned into a god, despite all the Chinese people that he deleted. America had war criminals during World War II that still get commemorated. America was not holy while fighting this war. Despite this fact, nobody seems to complain about America's actions during the war, or its actions during the Cold War. If you study the history of the Cold War, then you will come to realize that the US has done a lot of shady things during this period as well. But somehow, the Yasukuni Shrine is the only thing that still gets singled out in 2026, despite the war ending almost a century ago. I made up my mind after becoming a pagan and polytheist that I would look at things through a different light, and that is what I have done. There are 200 countries on the planet, and only 2 of them are majority polytheistic. As somebody that is a polytheist, I would like to see these 2 countries protected. They are India and Japan. There are several other countries that are somewhat polytheistic, but India and Japan are at the top of my list. As a white guy that venerates Inari outside of Japan, I would like to see Japan's Inari shrines protected. It just annoys me a bit when Japan gets singled out and everybody else acts holier than thou when everybody else is not holier than thou. This video is just my opinion. I do not think the Japanese people that go visit this shrine are bad people. There are over 2 million people that are commemorated at this shrine. Not all of them are heinous war criminals. I completely understand if people dislike this shrine or any government officials that visit this shrine, but I personally have nothing against it because I live in the present. I care about the future. I do not live in the past. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic day or night.